And we are recording when? You're counting in?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, record. All right, you may finish tweeting, sir.
Tweet away. Tweet to your heart's content.
I want to tweet. Give me a tweet to tweet out.
Hey, what's up? This is Damian Nash, and we're live on YouTube.
Anybody out there listening? Anybody? We're on YouTube.
We love you.
Yeah. Anybody out there listening? Anybody?
We're we're live. We love you.
All right, I just tweeted out. Alrighty, so we're ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Welcome, and you're listening to Geekologist Radio, a division of the Ninja Pancake family of podcasts. And now,
Hey, it's see us in our t-shirts.
Oh, right? Yeah. See us, period. Hey, it's Christopher, and welcome to a special edition of Geekologist Radio, where we tackle episode 5 of season 7 of Game of Thrones. In each of these spoiler casts for the season, we're going to give you our initial impressions, talk about the story and where every major plot line, location by location, and then give you our final thoughts, which will include hits and misses. As always, we'll have theories, but let's introduce the panel for tonight's cast. We got Mr. Damian Nash.
What's up, everybody? Excited to be back on the Game of Thrones podcast this week.
Fix, we hope. Keep it going. Internet and computer.
And Jeff.
Hey.
Myself and Jeff have been on all, but we've been pretty consistent. And as we stay consistent, we're going to start with our initial thoughts, which are what are our non-spoiler impressions of this week's Game of Thrones season 7, episode 5.
Damien, you might go first.
Yeah, the 13th Warrior.
Okay.
That'll all be explained more later.
Jeff?
Exposition, as always.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
And mine, although good, this was my least favorite episode of this season.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. There was a lot of backstory.
Easily least favorite this season.
This episode was rough,
and I have some salt on.
Just like after coming off of that big episode 4, for me, this was kind of the come down. You know what I mean? Like, and we're gonna do it in under an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I believe that's all we got from this episode. Let's go. Jamie's alive.
Yeah.
Yes, I was glad. You have to. I mean, if Jamie's gonna die, it's gotta be with a lot. It's gonna be bloody. It can't be anything light. And I mean, not that drowning's light, but you know that it just seems like too easy of a death for a warrior of his standing.
They were able to get quite a bit away. Like, don't you think? Like, they were halfway down the river by the time that they got out of the water. So I'm just curious on how, when the dragon lit everything up like a Christmas tree and the horse went down, how they weren't waiting for them to come back up again to go after them. That didn't make any sense to me. That part really kind of caught me off guard. And then Jamie being pissed at Bronn for taking him off the horse. Why'd you do that? I was going to take her out. And he like looked at him like, really, dude? Like that wasn't going to happen, right? Like, you know that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna win the war for us, man. No, there's a dragon. There's a mountain of meat behind her. So, do you really want to go down that road?
What was nice was Bronn just basically saying like that the next time I see dragons, dude, I'm out.
Yeah,
I have no part of this any longer. So, and Jamie definitely was dreading telling Cersei any of this, almost like a kid who's afraid to tell their dad that they screwed her mom, that they screwed up, right? So he doesn't want to say, it wasn't me that killed every one of the people in your army, I apologize, or the ones that they took from us at all. It wasn't me. So you could see the definite sense of disappointment from Jamie.
Yeah, no, it was that particular scene was like, I liked how Bronn had just said, hey, if anybody gets to kill you other than, before I get what I want, it's me.
Yeah, it's good to hear like Bronn and Jamie explain why they did what they did, because when you looked at it from the actual scene, both sides, like Jamie, who knows what he's owed, and that's Jamie, so he's going to do whatever he can to keep him alive. So it was good to hear those two sides explain that. I didn't like what probably I talked about when I had to reboot there was all this. Is Jamie alive, and how the hell they got to the bank, and this we swam so far away, and Tyrion's just assuming Jamie's alive, and all this non-stuff that they talked about that just kind of didn't make much sense in terms of a regular plot. Just, yeah, we're just going to walk off now. Yeah, they're over there. We're gone. We're not going to try to get away from anything. We're going to chat for a little bit and go.
Cajun, that has a lot to do with like 90% of this episode. There were a lot of times where there were over explanations for things that it was almost like, hey, I want to catch everybody up on what we feel like you might have missed 4 seasons ago. So let's talk about that real fast. And the part that I really liked about this loot train scene was Tyrion walking through the wreckage and the weight of all of the mistakes and the choices that he's made, in like the Casterly Rock mistake and Dany not listening to him anymore, and him feeling like he's let a lot of people down, not just her, but his people, you know, all the Lannisters. So there's a lot of weight that is carried on his shoulders through this situation.
Yeah, no, that scene. And then I also liked, because, you know, Game of Thrones, they, depending on where they're at, will depend on their color palette they use for that particular scene. And I really like the fact that the scene in this, when he was walking through, Tyrion seems more colored, like he seems more colorful.
Sure.
Upon a very bleak background, you know, that he's walking through. So again, it helps illustrate when you were talking about that, the weight of the situation, how heavy that lays on his heart.
The next part of the loot train scene is what I like to call the Lion King. And so basically you have the dragon on top of the mountain, you have Dany sitting on top of the rock, and she's addressing the crowd saying, you would think that I would just kill you outright right now. That's what Cersei's told you. That's not what I want to do. If you bend the knee right now, you will survive. Do you think that they're in fear that, or they believe what Cersei's saying? Do you think that there's any trust at all, or is it just pure, like, there's a dragon sitting like literally 100 yards from us on top of that rock?
I think that most of the people bent the knee out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no loyalty there. They just know that if they do that, they're not going to die. And it's made really apparent when the Drogon roars and everybody's like, okay, yeah, I'm done. I just pooped myself. I'm yours.
I mean, if you think about it, these guys just came out of watching half their, where it totally baffles me how she knows his name, that she should know him. It was just like, oh, hey, I kind of know who you are.
That is because Tyrion is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why she knows anybody from Westeros, is because Tyrion is there. She would either have to have brought Tyrion. I think that's the only reason why he is there. So if there was any survivors, he would be able to identify if there were any lords that she would be able to talk to.
What's really awesome about Tyrion is in that scene, he says to Lord Tarly, because Lord Tarly just recently was part of House Tyrell, and he said that his choices appear flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're so flexible that all of a sudden you're with Cersei, why can't you just come over here and bend the knee and we'll call it a day? He's really trying to save Tarly's ass here, because he knows what's coming if he doesn't bend the knee. And he's like, man, this guy's a good soldier. His kid's a good soldier. I just want to save people at this point. There's so many deaths. They're unnecessary. I don't want any more deaths in his eyes, his hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was one of those things that also with that is that I felt that, and I think that we'll see it later on, maybe not this season because we're so close to the end, but obviously in the final season, this gives an opportunity for, they kneel by fear, but through the actions of the queen from Dany, they're going to find a reason to follow her instead out of loyalty in the end.
Sure.
I mean, they could turn around and totally like screw her over, but I mean, I honestly think that eventually this is what will happen. Yeah, they bow by fear initially, and then find her to be of her word later.
Well, I mean, this game of chess isn't even close to being over. It's just beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bunch of people that were used to playing checkers, and now they have to play chess. And so Tyrion in that position is learning that really quickly because he's like, wow, I'm really good at checkers. Oh, wait, everybody's playing chess.
Yeah.
So now I have to learn how to play chess. So he's trying to do that, which I think is great. Lord Charlie basically says that there's no easy choices, but he pulls the same card that Cersei pulls and says, you know, she's from Westeros. Tyrion killed his dad. Why are you staying with these invaders? So he's bringing up people from a foreign land, taking over our where we live and that sort of thing. Cersei said the same exact thing. I think it's really interesting that they both go back to the same front. For me, it's like, is this all you have? Like, is this the only thing that you have to defend yourself with? You're from a foreign land. Why are you being saved by these people? And Dany's telling Tarly that he won't trade his life for honor. You know, you won't trade honor for your life. Like, won't you just give up being a proud person for your life? And he's like, no, absolutely not. Like, there are a few things that people can stand for in this world because I'm not, he's a lord, but he's not a king. And one of them is my pride. And I will stand for that until the day I die. And not only is he taken himself, but he's taken Dickon too.
Yeah, that was one of the things, is that when he takes it, when his son goes over. Now, the one interesting thing is, for all her knowledge, or for all Tyrion's knowledge, you know, he drinks and he knows stuff. How does he not know that there's another son?
I was thinking, I have that in my notes, and it, like, literally an asterisk. It's like people are forgetting that about Samwell is now head of House Tarly. Like, so
he's not the. I mean, I guess he
is now.
But he's not because he
took the vow of
he took the black.
Oh, but you know, can they waive that? If he's the last
could.
of the Tarly name, can he waive that?
The only reason that John got out of it was because he died, and then came back.
There you go. He's the breaker of lives, not chains.
Yeah,
I like that Dany, when pleaded by Tyrion, because he says, "Put them in a cell." Because it makes men remember, you know, and she says to him that chains aren't an option anymore. She breaks them for people. She no longer puts them in people. And if there was an option to go into chains, people would take that every time over obviously the dragon. So for her she's come to the realization that what I have in my notes is people fear Cersei, and Dany is getting pissed off about playing the game fair anymore. She's tired of playing. Cersei gets to cheat and play this way and play that way and take shortcuts. And Dany's always played fair and by the law. And so now it's not that she's not playing by the law, but she's playing the enforcer, which she hasn't done before. Like, she doesn't come out and just take people out. And she's doing that now because people in power get things. And in order for her to be respected, she has to do something.
But then in that case, again, she has bit like she again, she got punched. You know, she got hit hard because she was playing by the rules. Then they didn't play by the rules back. And so obviously that's another reason why she is doing what she's doing, is because it's, you know, fool me once, shame on, you know, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me.
And then my favorite line in Game of Thrones is anytime Dany yells Dracarys. And that dragon, Drogon was just like, yep, gonna have to blaze these guys up. And they were toast really, really quickly. And it's funny because the rest of the people that were standing up quickly went to a knee. Yeah. Like, I mean, real fast.
We're done.
Like, so I have in my notes too, like, you know, if you take out one of the sheep, the flock will follow. You know what I mean? They'll, like, you have to flex your authority. And so she took out the biggest things that they had that were left. And it's like, oh, crap, if our leaders are down, okay, whatever you say. Like, I got to stay alive. It doesn't sound like that they're in it because of the love of it. They're more mercenaries at this point. But, you know, whatever, they need an army. So it doesn't really matter to her. Mm-hmm. And she's got the Dothraki. That's all that matters. And we find out later on from Jaime that that's pretty much all she needs at this point.
Yeah.
So we're going to head into the Citadel. And the Citadel right now in the first scene that we catch is Samwell, the Archmeister, and the Meisters. So like all of the rest of the Meisters, and they're all chatting about the Raven that Bran had to send from what he saw.
Yes. Cajun.
Yeah, so this opens up a major plot hole for me, is that Samuel, the actual Maester of Winterfell, the heir to the throne of the Maesters,
He calls Bran by name, so he's the one who initiates them even knowing who he is, or maybe they did know who he is and they just weren't really calling him by his name. He lets them know that he survived outside the wall, talks to him. I think the thing that he strives for is telling them, to the Meister himself, is that if he tells people that the threat is real, people will believe that the threat is real. If you tell them to go defend the wall, they'll defend the wall. Why are you not just telling people to go do something? And their response is, well, it could be Dany. You know, she could be putting out propaganda out there. And Samwell at that point, I think, is where he becomes disenfranchised with the Meisters. And he's just like, you really, like, you know that I saw one. So like, you're full of crap. Like, you know, I saw one. I told you I saw one. You admit that I saw one, and you're still calling it this? That's not right. At that point, I think that's where he's starting to get his frustration.
Yeah.
And he has enough. Yeah. Sam's had enough. He has, but he doesn't have enough information to make a decision at this point. So, but all the information is right there for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, we see that. Like, the information is there in the Citadel, but at the same time, he doesn't know that his father and brother were burned a lot too. So he has all this information. He's just tripping out right now and going and just having his own little mental breakdown, and not absorbing the information he needs to make the right decisions and to have what he needs.
So this is the time that I just did not like Sam, like, at all. I think that he was too caught up in his own thoughts that he missed so many things, and he was a complete douche to Gilly. Like, the person that has shown him some of the most kindness in the world, and has just accepted him for who he is, and he's just ignoring her and just leaving. He would have really learned a lot if he just listened to her for that second.
Yeah.
For me, this was a lot of fan service. The knowledge that Rhaegar did not pillage Lyanna was more for the audience and not for Samwell. And the reason why I think that is because he doesn't have knowledge of anything that went on, which is why he blew right over it. Mm-hmm. But what this does is it lets the audience in on a secret that Samwell has no idea of. Hey, guess what? He's really a Targaryen. And so don't worry about the fact that he could take the throne right now. He is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne right now. But Janny doesn't know it. Samwell doesn't know it. But guess who? The only people that know that is the audience. And so that's their little gift. That's a give to the audience.
1 second.
For those who don't know, what they're talking about is when Gilly reads the tomes, she finds out that the High Septon Maynard performed an annulment for Prince Rhaegar and his marriage to Ilya Martell, and remarried him to Lyanna Stark at a secret ceremony in Dorne. What that means is it proves that Rhaegar didn't take Lyanna against her will, and that was a belief of Robert Baratheon. And assuming that Rhaegar ran off with his bride, that's why Robert Baratheon launched the rebellion against Westeros. And this is also why Ned always talks so highly of Rhaegar. He never talked crap about Rhaegar, even though he was with Lyanna, because he knew that Rhaegar, it wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't a bad dude. And so Jon isn't a bastard at all, but a full-blood Targaryen, which, like we just spoke of, makes him the rightful claim to the Iron Throne. not Danny, because he would be considered her older brother.
So in the chat, Marco Miko says, to be fair, if Sam heard it, he doesn't have any clue anyway. All he knows is that John is Ned Stark's bastard.
Yes. Yeah, and that's absolutely true. Like, again, people not knowing, we as the audience get that little give, which is really nice. It's nice to be the audience for a change, knowing something that people in the game don't know. So now I feel like we have an advantage a little bit. Like, we, as we're watching it, and the whole connection between Danny and him, and now Samwell coming, which we find out Samwell gets pissed off in that scene, to your point, Jeff, and he's just like, listen, damn, I'm going to take all this stuff. And he gives a line that we heard from last season that I don't know if everybody caught. He said, I'm tired of reading the achievements of better men. It's the same line that Randall gave to him when they were at the table, when he said to Samwell, all you do is do that. All you do is read the tales of better men. And it hit home with me when I heard the line, because I'm like, oh my God, that's your dad. Like, you know what I mean? And so saying that line to me was the final straw. He's like, you know what? I'm going to be a better man, and I'm taking my shit and I'm going. And he just left to Winterfell.
And the other thing about that, though, and also this is something that Marco Minko brings up, is that Sam went to the Citadel to gather information about the Long Night and how to defeat the White Walkers. Well, in the end, gathering those books, the stuff that he did, Sam completed his mission that he went there to do. He's going to bring the knowledge back, and he's going to study it where he is best at, which is going to be back with his people.
Yeah, back in Winterfell.
Yeah, he told John he was coming back with info.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he did. He was going to go back and be a Meister. In my mind, he is one, because of the things he accomplished, how he was able to kill the dragon scale, and now he's been able to read all that information. He knows just as much as those other guys, and they're still fluffing him off, which is, to me, they're just basically making him do grunt work for the sake of doing grunt work at this point.
And see, this is Fouts jumps in and says that, Sam pretty much said, okay, you guys are going to, what Chris said, fluff me off. Screw you guys. I'm going home. I'm going to take all the information I think's pertinent.
Yeah. So we're going to head next to King's Landing. And King's Landing has some important information, as does most places. Believe me, when I was mapping this last night, we hit 20 spots, 20 different cutscenes that went from place to place to place to place to place. This place, it was jumping all over the map this week.
Yeah.
The first scene is Jaime and Cersei, and I believe I was telling Fouts this, that really affected me when Cersei initially says to Jaime, the first line when she sees Jaime was, how many men did we lose? Not, how are you?
Okay, so yeah, I get where that affects you, but she was pissed off that when he came back after he was captured and lost his hand and everything like that, she was pissed off at him then.
In this episode, the fact that she's angry about that and not concerned about him, that's where it affects me, but we'll get into that situation because there's a lot of melodrama that goes along with that scene. This is a war week 3. So
that to me was a very powerful moment, because you have Jaime, the king killer or Kingslayer, explaining, he's saying he's afraid. Like, he's not, he's not hiding it. He's stating that, we are going to lose if we keep this, you keep on this. And that was huge to see a character like that admit that. I mean, that was like when the Hound was defeated, everybody was like, oh my God, it's kind of one of those moments. But yeah, no, it was something that it was such a, see, this episode to me has brought in a lot of different character dynamics of seeing characters' emotions in different views. And in this scene in particular, there's a myriad of emotions.
Cersei in this scene is kind of asking him for advice without asking him for advice at certain points, because she says to him, what am I to do? I sit on the throne of the father that you murdered. Like, what else am I supposed to do at this point? Like, I have to fight her. I can't not fight her, because if I don't, the line at the end is, I can fight and die or submit and die, but I know my choice. She's a Lannister. She will fight and die. She's not going to submit and die. And the last line, Damien, to your credit, she says exactly to his face, a soldier should know this, should know his choice. You know what I mean? Jamie should know this, and he's cowarding to this whole entire situation, which is why he might have even tried to go after Danny in the first place. Kill myself off, and like I don't have to deal with any of this crap any longer.
It's almost like he's got PTSD at this point,
right?
I think that she was asking it, but it was like, I'm asking you, but I've already made up my mind. I'm just going to verbalize this so you hear it and you know where I'm coming from. Plus, I don't even think that Cersei really even cares about Jamie anymore. She hasn't cared about Jamie in forever, and she just knows that to keep him close, he's got to do all. She's got to keep him.
I couldn't agree more.
To the V, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going on. She's to keep them both fighting for her.
So that brings me to my question on this: is as the scene starts to close, she puts her hands down and basically tells Jamie that she's expecting.
That's a different scene.
I thought that was the same scene.
Nope.
Oh, I'm jumping ahead.
No. The next thing you see at King's Landing is Davos and Tyrion on the beach.
Oh yes. God, that's right.
And the line, I love this. First of all, I love Davos. We all know that I love Davos. He's like one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites.
He is my favorite.
And so Tyrion saying, the last time I landed on the beaches of Westeros, I killed my father with a crossbow. And Davos's line is like, well, the last time I was on the beaches of Westeros, you killed my kid with a wildfire. And I'm like, oh, damn. And it just went down from there. Because Davos, so you can see already people who should not be friends or shouldn't be working together are forced into situations at this point because of the White Walkers, where it's like, we've got to throw out all indifferences at this point. We have a major foe. And Davos is understanding that. There are other characters, obviously, that are going to learn that. But his line where he says, well, what if they take the boat? And I love it. He was like, then we're fucked, so you best hurry.
Yeah.
Davos is awesome. I love it.
Yep.
He doesn't like skip a beat. Every time that he says a line, it's always like, that's a zinger.
Yeah.
It is a zinger. The next scene is Jamie, Bronn, and Tyrion in the Dragon's Cave.
Yeah, Bronn's leading Jamie down, saying that they're going to go for a practice, for some sword practice. And lo and behold, there's Tyrion, and Jamie's not happy.
No, he's pissed. And Tyrion tries to compliment him about the Casterly Rock move, and Jamie's just brooding. Like, don't even bother bringing that line up.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He's so angry at him. It's
I said
crazy.
The next time that I saw you, I would cut you in half. It's going to take a long time to do it with that practice sword.
Oh, yeah, right? Which is really great. Like, because Tyrion is still Tyrion, so he's still going to give you that. And even though Jamie's visibly, he's using his visible anger against the killing of his father, but he knows. And so Jamie basically says to him, just let's cut the crap. Like, just tell me why you're here. Like, tell me why you brought me here. Tell me what's going on. And Tyrion says to him that Dany wants an armistice, and she wants to stop this war. She wants Cersei and her to sit down, and she wants to have them go against. And they cut away, so they don't get into all of this detail. But you learn later that they against the White Walkers and how that they need to defeat them as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows that Jamie is the one person that if he can get to Jamie and give that information out, that information will get back to Cersei because she'll actually listen.
I think it was a pretty good scene. It was great to see Tyrion and Jamie back together, even though they left with a lot of tension and a lot of anger on one side and betrayal on another, and how they're doing this with this season, where it's definitely, it's the end. Everybody that you've missed having that chemistry together is having chemistry again and actually being in scenes together, even though they're short as hell. But it's
don't be making fun of Tyrion.
He's got a lot of personality for that shortness. He's like an 80 proof vodka.
To me, the reason why Tyrion's in this episode with Jamie is to bring together the fact that they're going to work together down the line.
Mhm.
This is the beginning of together. It's the reason why you have in the future of this episode, Cersei being very defensive and using something to cause Jaime to come back to her because she's in fear of that connection between Tyrion and Jaime. That connection is very strong, and Jaime being kind of a little distant right now is open to kinship with his brother again. And Tyrion feels like we have such a strong connection that I might be able to make this work, and he's trying to use it to his advantage. So when we cut away from that scene at the cave, you go to Davos and Gendry in Steel Streets.
Yeah.
And holy shit, Davos finds Gendry. And Gendry is, dude, Gendry went from like looking like a punk 16-year-old to like a buff, like, I'm going to kick your rear end.
Dude, he's a badass.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I'd like to see him go against Thor with that hammer.
He's got a warhammer, dude. It's awesome. He's got a warhammer. And Davos goes in there and just says, hey, we could really, it's one of those situations where I've seen it in other movies where like the person doesn't even have to get, like, how about Batman when he talks to Flash, where he doesn't even tell him he's part of the Justice League. He's like, yep, I'm in. Oh, wait a minute, you're Batman. But like Gendry was like, yep, I'm going. Oh, wait, where are we going? Like, he doesn't even care. He's like, I've been ready for this for years. Let's just roll. It also is because the fact that him and Davos have such a connection together. He feels a connection with the Starks specifically because of Arya and how close they were. So he'll defend House Stark. He doesn't even think twice about it. And he's just seething because he's stuck in these streets with all the Lannister people. It's like, I don't want to be here. You guys trying to kill me.
But the other thing that's so great about that is that when he is about, well, one is him talking about the fact, the best place for me was under Cersei's nose.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about hiding under her nose. Then, yeah, you're right. He talks about his hatred for making weapons to,
for the people that killed my family.
Yeah. And wanted me dead. But then when he grabs the hammer, how much, that makes sense. It's not the, oh, we're in Pirates of the Caribbean and it's Will Turner. Oh, I practice with these swords every day. It's no, I swing a hammer all day long, every day. I fashioned myself a war hammer because guess what? I know how to crush things.
And also Papa Bob used a hammer as well.
He gets a chance to wield that hammer, but not before we find out that fermented crab is now Viagra.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was
that was great. That was Davos at his finest. You've never really seen him be a smuggler. This is the first scene that you get to see him be just that Mr. Suave. The reason why I like Davos so much.
He pulls that right over the hammer on the boat, and I was like, whew, and I'm like, oh, and they got away with it up until Tyrion was like, dude, he's little. So all he has to do is duck in the grass or something. And instead he just decides to walk forward. It's like, dude, come on, they know who you are. We've looked for a dwarf that has a scar like that before. At that point, didn't matter. At the 10, the 5, the 5 the 5 coins that he was going to give him to the 15. That was it. And then when those guys took the warhammer to the face, it crushed their face in. Crushed. It was bad. It was really bad.
But what was great is Tyrion doesn't even ask who this other person is that's going with it. He's like, oh, he'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he trusts Davos at this point. I mean, Davos, remember him and Davos have now started to become a little bit closer. It's almost like the same way that him and Jonah have become a little bit closer. Like eventually they know, he knows who he is.
Jorah.
Yeah. Oh, Jorah Mormont. So the next scene that we get into is the scene that Damien was talking about. And you see Qyburn meeting really secretively with Cersei. The guess is what she's about to tell Jaime is the reason why they're meeting secretly.
Well, the thing is if you read or watch with the subtitles.
Oh, damn, you and the subtitles. I can't ever do that.
He is saying when when Jaime's walking into the room, I can give you something for that.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, what's going on? What does that mean? I thought that she was just like stressed or something, or maybe she found out or kind of realized, and so she's playing her indigestion.
Oh,
card.
I thought it was like, Westeros herpes.
It could be that too.
But
I mean,
so here's the thing: is we were talking about like if this is her playing her brother, or so if the baby's real or not. Now in chat, Marco Minko states up that Maggie the Frog. This is in that flashback that we got. Remember that Maggie the Frog said that Cersei will only have 3 children. If this is true, something's going to happen to her or her pregnancy. Mm-hmm. So if the baby is real, we're not gonna see that baby born because hands around the neck.
Yeah.
So in that scene, you get Jaime telling her that he met with Tyrion. The fact that he came forward right away with it tells you where his allegiance is. Like, he didn't try to hide it from Cersei and have a conversation about anything else. Without skipping a beat, like literally skipping a beat, she says, "Will you punish Bronn?" Immediately. And he like looks at her like, "Wait, what?" And she looks at him again and she's like, "Really? You don't think I know everything that goes on around here? I knew that you were meeting him. I knew exactly what he was coming to talk to you about. And I let it happen because I feel like it's in our best interest right now. If I didn't feel like it was in our best interest, you never would have met him." And at that moment, you see Jaime's eyes like well up, like almost like, "Oh crap. Like, you know a lot more than I think you know." And then she goes into that big long speech and then pats her belly, and he says, "Well, who are you going to name the father?" And she said, "You." And then he really freaks out. Like, why would you do that? Like, that's dumb. Don't say it's me.
But then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be a papa again. I can actually be a papa." So he's super excited. And as soon as I heard that, my heart broke for Jaime. I was just like, "No, don't do this. You're just hurting yourself. Can't you just choke her now and let's just get this over with? Be the queen killer now. Let's be done. I'm done with this."
I don't think he wants to be happy because he knows that that's the role he needs to play right now. She brings up his dad again, which she does quite frequently. What does father say? The lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep. So I'm not going to worry about what everybody else thinks when I name you the father. I'm just going to do whatever I want to go do. And she gives him that. It's so sweet. And then she says, "Never betray me again." And I'm like, oh, that's the dagger in the back.
Punch her in the throat.
You want to know what made me think? It made me think of that situation where Dany was with Varys. "Oh, yeah, I know. I trust you." And the same exact way, but just done differently. Like, you know what I mean? The same type of line. And for me, and this is just my thoughts, she is not pregnant at all. This is a ploy to keep him closer because what I talked about earlier, I feel like she's afraid of his closeness with Tyrion. And this will be the reason when he finds out that she isn't, that he kills her.
That is a good theory. And I kind of goes pretty similar to what I was thinking.
So Marco's killing it in the chat over here. He says he thinks that this is where the Golden Company is going to be coming in, and that Cersei's going to agree to work with Dany, but then have a sort of red wedding plan.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that could be a big route that's going to happen.
I totally forgot about Golden Company. So that's
who Gendry smashed face.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's Golden Company already. They're already there.
Yeah.
So the next spot that we're going to be heading into is Dragonstone.
Oh, yeah.
Now, just fair warning, a lot of the stuff that we talked about in the previous situations will either be past or present tense where Dragonstone is concerned, so we may be crossing some streams a little bit while we talk about it in certain situations. The first thing that you see in Dragonstone is Dany coming back from the loot
train
debacle, and the dragons approach and comes down right in front of Jon Snow.
This scene my favorite. This is by far aside from the very end scene. This is my favorite scene of the episode. There's I had two favorite scenes. This is one of them because of how telling it is. We had this in the Citadel. We had that moment where you're learning information, right? Where we the viewers are learning information. This is a moment that solidifies what we learned earlier.
This scene for me, this is where the pinches of salt come out.
What?
It's probably one of the most forced scenes in the episode. Because for me, the 30 minutes of talking and talkie-talkie between him and Danny have now jammed up certain scenarios or certain scenes in which John should have more time being kindred to being a Targaryen. And to have a dragon just fly down and be in front of him and then have this really forced scene where he's petting the dragon right away, it would have meant more to me had it been one of the other dragons or had they been fighting and when he walked over or something. I'm just throwing out a random scenario. And he was in that area and then the dragon, like Danny saw it from a distance as opposed to like, hey, I'm on a dragon. I'm going to fly right up to your face. Hey, pet me. I don't know what she was expecting when she flew the dragon up in front of John anyway. What was she expecting to happen?
That she would get him to bend the knee.
Oh, come on.
But he was like, nah, not again. I'm going to pet your dragon.
But the thing about this is you see the dragon, you even see that this is the fiercest. This is what the scene was about. It was about showing that the fiercest of the three dragons knows, it smells him. It shows that it breathes it in. He can tell that that's who he is. And so for the reason why they use who they use and in the scene is because they're trying to show that, even the fiercest of the three knows who Jon Snow is. He might not know who he is yet, but the dragon does.
All this did for me was push the Danny feeling or kindering feelings for Jon Snow thing faster. They have to speed this up quickly. We only have 8 episodes left, so they've got to hook up at some point quicker. It's got to happen. And they wasted 3 episodes with the talkie-talkie. So we got to get to the non-talkie.
This is more just showing that we know what our 3 dragon riders are now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
3 people that have touched Danny, Jon, Tyrion.
For sure. The line that she gives to him and says that they're beautiful, aren't they? And he says, that's not the word I would have used, but yes.
Yeah.
So you already know where his mindset is. And she comes to Jon and says, I know you might disapprove of how I accomplished what I accomplished, but I can help people if I'm in a position of strength. And then Danny does what she always does and brings up that stupid line, that one-off line that Davos brought up about Jon and the stupid knife in the heart thing. She won't let that go. That's like the bending of the knee thing for her. She's like, wait, what was that line? What did he mean? What did he mean by that? And is it a play on words? Yeah, it's a play on words. Just stop talking about it.
Stop it.
Just can you please? Yeah. And then Jorah Mormont returns. Big whoop. Like seriously, the guy time warps from Old Town to the uppermost corner of Dragonstone in less than 30. I don't even know how fast it was, but it felt like he blinked and he was there. It's almost like Legend of Zelda, where you're like, oh, I've been here to Old Town before. I guess I can warp there. I can warp there.
Skyrim. Come on,
really?
And Skyrim are really close together. Why wouldn't they have fast travel too? Come on, Chris.
The only thing that I really liked about this scene with Jorah was he immediately bent the knee, and kissed her on the hand, and Jon noticed. And so when he said he was cured and he was for her service, Jon gave him this look like, oh, you asshole. Come on. I've been not bending the knee and telling her I'm not here to help her. Now you got to do it right away when you walk back in. So Jon gives him that leery look like, really? Come on. Jorah's here just to be set off one more time to die. So it's been nice to see Jorah. I'm over his timeline. I have that in my notes. I'm over Jorah. I'm done. I can't.
So what you're saying is you think that Jorah is going to be...
Jorah will be one. He'll be dead. He'll be dead in
Okay.
the next episode.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
I got it. I got it. You know what's going to happen? We'll leave it for the end.
Leave it
But
for the end.
I know what's going to happen. I got my theory, and I bet you I'm pretty damn sure of it.
Oh, I also have in note number 4, I'm over Game of Thrones too. Like I'm so someplace, and they had to be there in an Uber.
There you go.
After that scene with Jorah, you kick back on Dragonstone to Tyrion and Varys, and it was wasted all the time. And it was Tyrion basically saying that Lord Tarly had a choice, and that the hand doesn't lead the head. You know what I mean? So he's like, I didn't really have a lot to say into this. I tried to tell. Basically tells him, with the Mad King, I used to say the same exact thing, but guess what? I had a hand in it too. And it's him just basically saying you have to find a way to make Dany listen. Like, figure it out, but you've got to get her to listen, because otherwise she's down a bad path.
Oh man, this scene made me really nervous for reasons I'll go into later when we get into our theories.
Is it about Varys and your feelings for him? I'm sure it is. Your love of Varys might be going down the drain rather quickly.
I know. He's too snaky.
Yeah. We kick in Dragonstone right into the war room, which is the next scene, and Jon receives word that Arya and Bran are alive. Now, we talked about that again when we talked about some previous things. So again, like I said, we're going to be crossing some streams here. Bran saw the Night King, and the Night King is headed towards Night's Watch. So that information is divulged, and Jon needs to go home. Again, these ravens move rather fast. They are like warp speed. So if you send a raven, it should be there in 20 or 30 minutes or less, or you get your money back.
Needs to go to East. Jon needs to go to East Watch, not Night Watch.
Or East Watch, pardon me, East Watch. So Jon asks to go home.
Thank you, Brendan.
Yep. And Jon asked Dany to join him, and she was like, "Oh hell no! Have you heard of a woman named Cersei before? If I leave here, she's gonna come take this too." Again, I don't understand how Dany doesn't know that Cersei doesn't have an army. She has no army. She has nothing. She has to buy people in order. Like, at what point? People know so much in Game of Thrones when they need to know it, but when they don't need to know it, it's like Dany should know that there is no army left. She should know that. It's just something she should know, that she has Meisters, she has people, she's got Varys, he's got birds.
Yeah,
so they should know that shit. Tyrion suggests one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in Game of Thrones history. This is the dumbest thing I've ever, and this is on my list of the dumbest things that I had on my pad. Why are we sending Jon or anyone to go find one walker so that they can bring them to Cersei, hoping that the thing stays alive, isn't burnt crispy after going from cold to whatever it is, and knowing that this is like a death mission? And everybody's okay with this. Everybody's like, oh yeah, it'll work. Nobody even throws up a hand going, this might not work. Everybody's like, nope, this is going to work. I don't get it.
I have a theory. This goes along with my theory, and I will this is my theory for this. I'll explain here pretty soon.
I like Varys' response though, and he says that if you're going to bring something in front of Cersei, one, she needs an audience, because other people have to know that she's taking care of this. And two, how the hell do you know she's not going to kill you when you do it anyway? So he's the one voice of reason out of this entire group. He says that Tyrion says that she listens to Jaime. He may listen to me. This is where we're talking about the fact that it crosses the streams again. So, so Tyrion is going to go and talk to Jaime. We know that occurs. Jorah raises his hand and says, "Hey, I'll go north. Hey, I'll go. I'll do whatever I have to do to help you out, Dany."
Yeah, as long as that gets me in that dress. Come on.
Yeah. And Davos is like, "Yeah, you can't lead a raid against the wall because you're not part of the Night's Watch, and nobody will follow you." And then all you hear in the background is wah wah wah. Poor Jorah. And then Jon stands up for him like a good wingman and says, "Oh no, I'll go. I mean, I know the walkers. I know what they do. I've seen them before. I'll do it." And Dany's like, "No, you can't go. I command you cannot go. Like you don't have permission." And Jon was like, "Oh my goodness, this charade about permission shit."
I'm king.
king.
I don't know. I'm the king of the North.
Yeah, I don't really need your permission. I mean, I've really been just like monkeying around with the fact that I'm letting you think that it's okay, but I don't really need your permission.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna like it. And she's like, "Ooh, a bad boy. Yes, please."
He gives her the speech was nice. The stranger thing, like where he trusts a stranger, she should trust a stranger. I liked it. I thought it was okay. I mean, I don't like the actor who plays Jon Snow to begin with. I think that he's a really poor actor, and I think that he over exaggerates lines, and it's really bad. But in this scene, it wasn't terrible.
You just broke my heart.
Yeah, I love Kit Harington.
Kit Harington. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name. It was Kit Harington, but I don't think he's a great actor.
Because I liked him in Pompeii. I liked him in I lost the movie. I'll remember it in a little bit. But
Mission Impossible, right? Wasn't he in one of the Mission Impossibles?
I don't know if he was in the Mission Impossibles. I know it was
through the caves where Davos and Gendry meet Jon Snow. Davos immediately was like, "You are not Gendry. You are no man. You are no one." Like, just make up a fake name. And Gendry walks in. "Hey, how's it going, guys? My name's Gendry. I'm a bastard. I'm Robert Baratheon's bastard son. We're buddies. Your dad and I we're really good friends." And you're like, "What the flip, Gendry? Just shut up."
Good job, Gendry.
Well, he knows that their dads were friends, so like that's why he says that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming that that's the case. Why be dishonest with Jon? And I think that Jon takes to him a little bit because of how genuine he is. First of all, he doesn't hide who he is after Davos is like, "Well, why the F am I here? Like, I told him to lie to you." And then he calls Jon small, which at first Jon like gives him a look like, "What'd you just say?" And then he smiles and he goes like, "My boy."
Well, if you look at the shots and stuff, like he's only a few inches taller than Daenerys, and Daenerys is 5'2".
Gendry states that he's coming with Warhammer, and he'll fight. Davos backs him up because he's seen him mash two faces in. And honestly, at this point, Jon's merry men, they have a crowd of like 3. So adding Gendry to this list is a welcome sight. It's like, oh, hey, thanks. Right after that, they kick to a quick scene with Jorah.
Hey, hold off. First off, Marco Amigo in chat brings up the fact about when we're talking about how this episode does throwbacks, and this was kind of a throwback to when he says, "You're a lot leaner than I thought." Then and then they say, "You're a lot shorter." Well, that is very similar to when Robert says to Ned, "You're getting fat."
Yeah.
No, Ned
says to Robert.
Robert. Yeah.
Baratheon, that's right.
You're
so it was a throwback. Yeah.
And there was that same tension, and then
and laughing,
but it was the other way around.
Exactly.
The scene on the beach is kind of the goodbyes, and it's Tyrion, Jorah, Jon, and Tyrion gives Jorah the gold coin that was offered to the slave traders for their freedom, and he says he wants it back when Jorah gets back, which is that coin. My friends, is the kiss of death. So we know Jorah's not coming back. That coin's never returning. That Tyrion might as well not. Yeah. So, a Jorah, a Mormont, a Mormont never pays his debts. All right,
it's true. So, okay. Oh, that makes it very sad. That makes me very worried about Lady Mormont.
It really does. And Jon and Dany say their goodbyes again. Really bad tension. Really bad. "Oh, I want you so much." And he's like, I don't have time to be thinking about that. I got my brother and my sister who are really alive again that I should be thinking about, but I'm not thinking about because I'm thinking about heading to Eastwatch. And everybody's saying their goodbyes. It's just like a real quick blip, and it's done. And then we head to the north.
To the north.
To the north. And Bran is warging all over the place in his damn ravens.
Oh, man, that was such a cool scene.
Eyes all rolled back in his head, having convulsions, like just watching all those ravens go every place. And then when you see the initial part of the White Walkers walking, it's like, "Oh, the dead. This is awesome." And then you see the king of and I'm like, "Oh crap!" And all he does is, the Night King. He just looks up, and those ravens scatter like bat out of hell.
Yeah, when I was watching that scene, like, you know that they're coming, but then right when the ravens go over that little hill, and then you just see thousands of them again. Look there with my wife, and I'm like, shit.
Yep.
That's a lot. Shit. Okay. But go ahead.
When I saw that, my first thought was, oh crap, they're close.
Same.
They're close.
It didn't take them that long to get there.
No, not at all. Those Ravens, like, I think that's why they held the scene so long with the Raven, and they showed how far they were flying, because they were weaving, and then it was like in like less than 30 seconds they were there, and I'm like, oh, that's real close. Like, that's right there. So that's the scary part for me, is how close they are, and I don't think they realize how close they are.
Out says activate White Walker fast travel, and Marco says that he's talking about how he likes how Bran's behaving now, as a part of his story arc is that he likes the change.
And see, I'm in that same boat. I've said it for the last few episodes that I think it's because he's becoming disassociated. He's losing the Stark.
And he's turning in to the three-eyed Raven.
Legion. He is many.
Yeah. Good.
I don't like emo Bran. I'm not a big fan of emo Bran. And I
means that Bran. emos have something other than just being sad and cutting themselves. The Bran is not an emo. He's just disassociated.
I'll tell you what, the North was my favorite part of this entire episode. And the reason why is because the plays between Sansa and Arya, and then Arya and Littlefinger, were the most Game of Thrones-like to me throughout the entire episode. So I would guesstimate the 15 minutes of screen time that all of them got. Arya and Sansa and the Council were there initially with the Lords of the North. And the Lords of the North said they didn't choose Sansa, but they're choosing her now. We really wanted you. John happened to be here, but you were the person we really wanted.
Yeah.
And Sansa pretty staunchly was like, no, you guys chose John. We should stick with John. Like, I'm okay with that. You should be okay with that too. But that visible small push, that little, like, in front of Arya, like, oh, so this is why she wants John to go away.
And this is because Littlefinger's there freaking stirring the pot like he always is. And just, it's so good, because once you see Arya start following him around, you know that he knows. He's like, this is the game that he's played before. He is just playing it on a smaller map now, and he is a master at it. He's been doing it forever.
I'll talk about that in a second, but what you mentioned, I appreciated when she followed him, and we'll talk about that in a second, was that you saw him talk with a few of the lords, so he's getting in their ear, which is why they went to Sansa in the first place. They wouldn't have said anything had it not been for Littlefinger, like whispering.
He's also passing secret messages, using the girls around that are just running around things. So he's doing secret messages. He's whispering lines or whatever, or just, schmoozing and kind of putting little earworms into people. And and then he goes, do we want to do that part, or do we want to do the talk between Sansa and Arya first?
I was going to talk about the fact that Arya commented to Sansa that she was in Mother and Father's chamber, and you always did like nice things to make you feel better than everyone else. And it was just one of those. I didn't even take it as like a spite thing. It was more of a sister versus a sister dig thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that was like, here's
a sibling dig.
Yeah, that was a sibling dig.
That was a throwback again. That was a throwback to how they behaved in season 1. That was that was the throwback to that. Now, I actually have to head out here. So I want to give my theories now, and through the magic of editing on the actual audio podcast, we'll have Fouts. We can have Fouts edit mine to the theories part.
Chris and I will just bring this home. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let me throw my theory out real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my theory is that Jorah Mormont will get killed by a White Walker. Will know that he's going to rise as a White Walker. He knows that, or he's dying, and to make sure that he doesn't rot, they package him up and they start bringing him back. Like they bring him back, and he's the White Walker that they show and they present one last time for Dany to see, everybody to see, and then he'll die by fire, because that's how they kill him. He'll die by dragon fire, and that will be one way for them to know that the dragon fire actually kills the White Walker, but also for Dany to say goodbye and honor her friend.
Damn, I like that.
That's a really good one.
I'm also frustrated I didn't think of it. Good call.
Good call. That's what I think. Guys, I gotta head out, but I like I said,
go ahead and give your outro right now, so people know.
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Damian Nash, all one word, and I man the Geekologist Twitter page as often as I can, minus the T for character restrictions. And I'll talk to you all later.
Peace.
All right, so we're gonna two-man the rest of this.
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
Here we go.
So Arya comments to Sansa about the mother and father, and we talked about that. What about the fact that Arya comments to Sansa that she didn't defend when the Lords badmouthed Jon?
Why would she? Like, Sansa has never really been the biggest fan of Jon, and she's doing this because they picked him. And yeah, there's a blood relation, or there's a blood relation, blah, blah, blah. So she knows that for her to be in power, that they're going to need to use her, use him. Oh, did we just tag team?
Fantastic. All right. So, but she has to. She has to. If Jon doesn't come back, she's Queen of the North. So she has to have good favor with these lords. But she also has to make sure that if Jon does come back, she's not talking crap about Jon. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
She has to. Like, it's part of her job. Like,
this is she's an in-between. She has to make sure that she is trying to break the waves before they come, and make sure that there's a calm sea throughout the whole thing. Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that for sure.
And the person who does that is the listener. Oh, I see where you're coming from. I understand. Let me tell him about that when he comes back. You know what I mean?
How does that make you feel?
How does that make you feel? Yeah. The one thing that Arya does say that I think punches her right in the frickin' nose is like, listen, I know you want to be Queen of the North. Just say so. I get that you have those feelings. Don't hide it.
She also wants to cut people's heads off, and Arya knows, and that really pisses off Sansa, that she knows what's her deepest, darkest thoughts.
Arya then starts to trail Littlefinger. And Arya watches Littlefinger as no one. Because that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of when no one was there and like would just kind of like weave in and out, and you don't see. It's really weird that Littlefinger is picking up on it, isn't picking up on it initially. That's kind of what we get. Then you see Littlefinger, who's given a copy of a note that only one person in Winterfell would have had.
Yep.
And this goes back to episode 3, where he learned that despite all of the destruction and all the fire in season 2, Winterfell still keeps really great records. And Maester Luwin, it turns out, keeps every single copy of a Raven scroll that gets sent to King's Landing. And that's not lost on Littlefinger when that conversation happens, because Littlefinger, as he told Sansa, what was it, last episode or the episode before that? Remember everything that happens around you, know everything that is occurring, and don't feel like you have to know everything that's going to happen when it happens. Yep.
Play everything all at the same time.
So Arya breaks into Littlefinger's chamber and finds the note in the hole.
Yep.
She was listening on the conversation. So there's a few things that are occurring with the note that I want to give some preface to, and then if you guys want to throw something in about it. Something about the note is that it was Sansa wrote it under duress back in season 1, and it was against her in an attempt to drive a wedge between the Stark sisters. Basically, what it was doing was, Littlefinger knew about this note. He was in the room when Sansa was writing it, and Cersei was the one who forced her to write it. She was writing it to Robb, basically telling lies about Ned, saying that Ned was going against, against the kingdom, and so it implied that you should not listen to that, and you should basically go with Cersei. That's kind of what the note to Joffrey. Pardon me, to Joffrey. Cersei urged Sansa to write to her mother and brother, saying that if you would help your father, urge your brother to keep the king's peace. Sansa asked about her father, and she asked what will happen to him, and the queen replied smoothly, "That depends on your brother," and holding up the quill, "You." So to save Ned, Sansa writes the note, and the note that was scrolled out was really fast. So if you didn't pause it, you didn't read it. It basically said, "Robb, I write to you with a heavy heart. Our good King Robert is dead, killed from wounds that took from a boar's hunt. Father has been charged with treason. He conspired with Robert's brothers against the beloved Joffrey and tried to steal his throne. The Lannisters are treating me very well and providing me with every comfort. I beg you to come to King's Landing, swear to the King Joffrey, and prevent any strife between the houses of Lannister and Stark."
Yep. Right from season 1. And it's great.
And it is an amazing callback. Like, this is such a roundabout in order to bring that back. For Littlefinger to be in the room when it happened, for him to know that it's going to cause a rift between the two sisters. And also, Littlefinger is double crossing. He's doubling down right now. He knows that the closer that the Stark sisters get together or are together, his pull towards Sansa gets farther and farther away. So in order to keep Sansa close to him, he's got to keep that wedge. And that wedge is to piss Arya up enough that in Sansa's eyes, Arya looks insane or crazy or a little too aggressive. And so she's put away so that she's not so aggressive.
Or it could be for Arya.
It could be. I mean, he knows that Sansa and Arya will fight over this, and that Sansa will think that she's dangerous or a threat. If he can cause that to be the case, and it causes Arya to go into assassin mode or stealth mode, and Sansa sees it, it will be enough to push Sansa over the edge to say, "Listen, we need to put her at least in a cell for now to cause her not to do any more damage than is already necessary." I don't think so either. I don't think so either. The final scene is one of the big ones, and it's from East Watch. There's a ton of people in it, so I'm going to rattle off the names. You have Jon, you have Jorah, you have Gendry, Davos, Tormund, the Hound, Beric, and Loras. So it's literally the Justice League of Westeros and Riverside and all the other places. And one of my favorite scenes in this entire episode was the conversation between Jon, and I talked to you about this Fausta offline, is Tormund says, "How many queens?" And Jon says 2. And then the next line that Tormund says, "I literally laughed out loud. My wife actually came in when I was watching it." And he says, "You need to convince the one with the dragons or the one that fucks the brothers." Yeah. And Jon says, "Both." And I'm like, I literally roared. I'm like, because that's More Side Squad. It's like literally just that. And I love Tormund because he asks not only about the men that are in the army, but he also asks about the big woman.
Yeah.
Brienne. He brings up Brienne. I love that he still has a thing for Brienne. It's such a shame that he's going to die. I feel so bad. I wish he would
gonna die.
I wish he would live a little bit longer. The Hound and the Brotherhood finally appear. I mean, we've been talking for weeks. Where are they? So they finally, right? Yeah, they actually have to travel. They were found
they just got in jail because they stole a goat or something. I don't know.
They were found south of the wall by some scouts, which were, I guess, some wildlings that were just out grabbing berries, like you said. They were, whatever they were doing. And this scene reminds me. I call this the catch-up scene. The catch-up scene is Hey, you tried to sell Gentry. Hey, Mormont's dad tried to kill the wildlings. Hey, I hate you. Hey, I like you. Like, it was just this combination of everybody hating or loving everybody. It was crazy. Like, it was bananas. And then the Hound basically says, let's stop chatting like a bunch of girls in a bathroom. Can somebody just friggin' make up a decision whether we're going with you guys or not?
Yeah. Let's just go.
Let's just go or let's not go. And John says, hey, we're all on the same side. We're breathing. So let's go together. And then the final scene has them in front of the big wall with the gate opening, and they all give each other that bro look, like the one that everybody gives when they're about to head on a staunch, like this really big mission. And they walk into the winter.
Can you hear me now, Marco? Sorry, I forgot to unmute it in XSplit, so it'll be in my recording, and if you listen back to the podcast, you'll be able to hear me. I just was stupid and forgot to unmute it, so my bad.
Yeah, you're black shirt guy.
Yeah, black shirt guy, Fouts.
Black shirt guy Fouts. So
Black shirt guy.
New Discord name.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Your new Discord name. Final thoughts as far as hits or misses, and man, do I have a ton.
All right, you go first. Just go first.
So one of the hits is that one of the misses. Let me start with a miss. Where was Miss Cindy this entire time?
In the shadows.
She was in the shadows?
Yeah.
Why is she front and center in every single other episode when they're on Dragonstone, but in this episode she's gone?
Because she's all worried. Watch, next episode it's going to be because she was worried about Grey Worm, and so she's just been kind of milling
Maybe she
around,
went to
doing
Grey
her own
Worm.
thing. Ooh.
Ooh. So she goes to Grey Worm. I don't like the huge plot change to go get the White Walkers. I think it's a big mistake in the writing. I think it's a ploy to move the plot along and get everybody from point A to point B, and the getting together of the group or the clan, which it sounds nice on paper because everybody wants to see everybody together or meeting each other. Sometimes you have hits with that. Sometimes you have misses with that. To me, when they met the Hounds and the Hound and they met all of the other group of the Brotherhood, it was a real miss for me. I don't understand why they were there. I don't understand why everybody was brought together. I don't understand why that wasn't talked about by Tormund up front. Like, hey, we caught some guys you you may know.
Well, we were told that they were going to Eastwatch. When the Hound has vision, he said that he's seen the Walkers going around the wall at Eastwatch, and that's why they were going there to try and stop it. Because he was the chosen one, because, you know, the Lord of Light has resurrected him 5 times now. So that's why they're going there. And along the way, they got captured by other wildlings. And just so happened that fast travel doesn't work for them, so it just took them longer to get there.
My hit for this week was the way that the story with Arya and Sansa was told. Like I said, I thought the North was the best storyline by far in this entire episode, and I didn't really care for this episode, but I thought that was the best storyline by far. It would have fit into any other season and would have done it justice. I'm not going to get into one of the other things that I'm thinking about until we talk about theories and such, but I am flustered with why we're still dealing with Littlefinger and all of Littlefinger's games. The game is bigger than Littlefinger anymore. The game is the White Walkers. Why are we still stuck on this Littlefinger playing pawns in Winterfell when
because
we
they
should
don't want to focus on one thing?
But everybody else is. That's the problem. The rest of the show is amping up to forget about the small stuff and worry about the Walkers, while in the North, all we keep talking about is Littlefinger and Arya. It doesn't make sense to me. If everybody's going to be in one place, let's get everybody in one place. Why are they the outliers? Why are they the ones who don't care?
Yeah.
Jeff, what do you got as for hits and misses this week?
For misses, I'm just not feeling Cersei, and I think that that's how you're supposed to feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Like I know some people are still like, yeah, Cersei's awesome, And just a second.
Yeah, Marco, I think that Littlefinger will die this season as well.
Oh, I do too. Like I think that that's one of the big deaths in the last episode. So if that's his theory or thoughts, I'm total agreement.
Yeah. My hits though, I like seeing Littlefinger back to form.
Yeah.
Also, Gilly being the Wikipedia that she was, that was great. It was such a great scene, talking about like the 1,574 steps, and Sam being pissed off and saying, I don't care about how many shits the Maester took. And she's like, steps.
Steps.
It was steps, not
I
shits.
love that.
Yeah.
She was so happy when you told her.
Yeah.
So happy.
That was like the best. That was like one of the best scenes.
Steps, dear. I mean, did you not hear me?
Yeah.
I love that line.
And she
So-
just like brushes all of his anger off of her shoulder, which is great.
Now my favorite part of every one of our spoiler casts are the theories. I love theories.
Let's give it to Fouts real quick. He hasn't been on to give us any of his theories.
No, I like to keep my theories private because they're usually way out there and wrong. So, go ahead.
I just want one. Just one, Fouts. Just one.
Nope, I'm good.
Fine.
I,
Okay.
I'm calling my shot from way, way back. I told this to Fouts off air. I believe that Dany comes with all three dragons to come and save Jon outside of the wall when he's surrounded by the walkers. His crew is going to be surrounded. We saw that in the previews. If you watch the previews, they're surrounded. Then you see Jon going off on a horse. And Fouts, you can use that as your theory because you brought it up. So we'll go with that when the time comes.
Oh, we still got one from Fouts.
Yes. I think that the Night King kills one of the three dragons, and one of those three dragons becomes a White Walker dragon. And so it gives them a way to go to the wall, because when Dany comes in, she lights everything up like a Christmas tree and takes out a ton of walkers. And they have no defense for that. But the Night King taking out a dragon now has a dragon, and a dragon can take out a dragon, or it can at least defend against two dragons.
Benjen, that's basically was my
Cold
theory.
hands of Benjen.
I'll actually go into it in a minute.
Oh, Benjen. Yeah, oh, yeah, the Benjen theory. Like, that was Fouts' theory. I called because I started to talk about it. He's like, that's my theory. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah, so my theory is basically you see that Jon gets pulled up onto the horse. And last time we seen Benjen is when he dropped Bran off the wall and just said, all right, peace out. I got to take off. I got to go. And that's all you see of him. And this season, they're bringing back characters that we haven't seen in a while. Now, we did see Benjen, last season when he was dropping off Bran. But, I mean, before that, it's been a while. So I actually think that Benjen's going to come in, save Jon, either by taking him away from that situation, or, you know what, maybe Benjen's going to be the White Walker that they take. Because Benjen's dead.
Benjen's half white. Yeah, he's half white, so they could take him.
Benjen
really
could totally be the White Walker.
So what if he could play off as white and do that too? I mean, I told you I thought that the Hound was the one who took.
Yeah.
Because he's the strongest of the group. I thought he's the one who took whoever the White Walker was and took them. I think when Dany comes down, she either takes them upon upon one of the dragons. I know that people don't normally ride dragons, but she has the ability to convince the dragons that it's okay to take them with to get them the hell out of Dodge. I think they do. I think they all ride off. Or I mean, I don't know how they ride off on horses because there's not enough horseback. So they have to get out of there some way.
With the dragon enough fire, it's going to create a barrier or a blockade that is going to allow them to escape to the ocean, just like they did when they were at Hardhome.
I think if a dragon's gonna die, just because of all the names, it's gonna be Viserion.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, I talked about a dragon dying in this season. a while ago and turning into a White Walker. So I'm hoping that I'm still clinging on to this. Like I really feel like this is the moment that it could happen. I brought up the Missandei thing about not being here the whole time. The other thing that I want to bring up is what if Arya, what if I know that I know, but you don't know that I know with Littlefinger, and she knows that she's being played by Littlefinger, and Arya becomes no one, and that no one is Sansa. So when Littlefinger comes up and speaks to her, her no one face is Sansa. Littlefinger talks to her as if she's, and then
You can't do that unless they're dead.
Yeah,
they have to be dead?
Yeah, they have to be dead.
Those are physical faces that were removed from dead bodies.
That's how she got Walder Frey's face. She wasn't
Okay.
able to become Walder Frey until she could.
I wasn't sure that it was a dead thing. Okay.
Yeah, she could kill the girl that he was passing notes to after like torturing her and get the information that way. Maybe.
I think that she's in on the game. I don't think that Littlefinger has the upper hand here.
It could be.
I think the audience is supposed to think that Littlefinger
Arya
has the
is
upper hand.
smart enough that she'll be able to see through it.
She's been doing this enough and seen a lot of shady people that she probably I don't think that Littlefinger has really dealt with anybody like Arya yet.
There's been nobody like Arya.
Yeah.
The other thing is, what if Bran is the lie detector for Arya and Sansa? So if they're in the middle of a fight and Bran's like, well, I already saw that, and I can tell you that Littlefinger did this, this, and this.
I could see that happening too.
I wonder who's going to go to her. I think that Sansa will go to Bran before Arya, though.
Yeah. 'Cause I think Sansa has more faith in what Bran's powers actually are rather than Arya does.
I don't know when Gendry is going to forge the Valyrian steel. I know that he said Jon's sword was strong enough that he didn't have to worry about that, but we're not talking about Oathbearer and he's going to have to forge some steel for the rest of the army. Do you know what I mean? Like there's going to have,
man.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. But at what point is he going to do that? He's now at.
He's not going to.
He's now at
Eastwatch. I bet that there's already. They have some dragon glass weapons that they're going out there with. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be dumb enough to go without it.
If anything, Jon was sending an envoy from what they mined back to Winterfell with all that stuff.
What do you think is in Samwell's tomes?
I think that it's the White Walker history and the history of the long winter.
Was it the long night?
The long night, yeah.
Yeah.
Which that would make a ton of sense. Like that would be really good information. The other thing that we're all looking forward to that I think is going to be episode 8 is the meeting between Cersei and Dany. That's going to be.
I don't think that's going to happen in episode 8.
I don't want to curse, but I think that's going to be effing phenomenal. I think that's episode 8.
I think there's no episode 8. I thought there was only 7 episodes.
There's only 7.
Oh, 7. So episode 7. I'm sorry. Episode 7. I think that's the last episode.
Marco said Bran also knows about Jon Arryn's death, and the Valve is the Veil. I'm sorry, not the Valve is not going to back Littlefinger if they find out.
Yeah,
it's true. So I don't have a lot of big theories to build off of, or just like the Varys thing. Varys thing made me start thinking because Chris, you brought up like how you think that was yours Missandei or was yours? Yeah, yours is Missandei, and then Cajun had said,
I think Missandei's a spy,
and then Cajun was saying that it was Varys, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and I'm kind of leaning towards Cajun's thing, especially with like how I've been feeling it since season 1 that Varys is going to die.
I think Littlefinger's a spy.
Littlefinger, do you think that Littlefinger and Varys are working together?
No,
I don't think so.
I think he's sending messages back and forth to Cersei, so that way he can keep Cersei close. So that way, when he goes back there, he can kill Cersei and put Sansa on the throne and make himself king.
Bastard.
It's
I hate and love Littlefinger at the same time.
It's a tapestry of lies and deceit, and it's great. But I don't have like a lot of big theories that I pulled away from this, other than what I was thinking already. I didn't come up with any other big ones though.
No, I think our personal hits and misses. Well, you carry yours every week, which is John didn't bend the knee, so that John still hasn't bent the knee. So
He's never gonna bend that knee
you're carrying that on,
unless it's in the bedroom and Danny gets her wish.
Danny gets wish.
And that then he's just bending both knees.
Exactly.
I'm still playing the long game with the whole Walker situation and a dragon dying this season. Which, as long as one dies this season, I'm in like Flynn. But I've been talking about it since episode 1.
Actually, you just brought up Walkers. That reminded me. This is the only one that I really pulled away. So do you remember back when the first White Walker was there? They sent, I can't remember his name, but the douche guy from the Watch. They sent him with the arm, and once it got the hand, and once it got down there, it was rotted and not moving anymore. So it just looked like a dead hand. So I'm thinking if they bring this White Walker or this White down to King's Landing, it could potentially do the same thing, because who knows? But the winter is closer, so maybe they could get further down, and that's what would make it possible to not be dead.
I don't know what they're expecting when they get to Cersei to begin with.
It's not going to be good.
No, it's not going to be good, and I don't think that she cares.
Oh no.
So it doesn't matter whatever it is that they say.
She'll put that wildfire to good use.
Yes. So in conclusion, our final thoughts on episode 5, which we all know that episode 6, or in every other season, would be the episode prior to the finale, is usually the death episode. Like, people start dying like wildfire in the second to last episode. The last episode, people don't die. It's usually just leads to that climax for the cutoff. So if we're gonna lose some people, it's next week. For me, there's a couple of losses. We're losing Loras. Loras is the one who raises from the dead, right? Like, is it Loras? Am I wrong?
Oh, and then somebody's gonna get his sword.
Yes, and then the raised lighter. I told you Baron, I think, was going to take that right away.
Yeah.
And I also think that Tormund is going to die too.
You also got to remember that every season a king has died in Game of Thrones. Every season a king has died in Game of Thrones. Marco says Thoros.
Thoros. Sorry, I said Thoros.
And it's
Yep.
Ramsay was the last one, right? Because he was king of the north, right?
No, last season Tommen
Oh
died.
no, he wasn't. That's right, Tommen died. That's right, because he was warden of the north.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
And then
Brandon.
the season before that was Baratheon's oldest brother, Stannis, right?
Stannis Baratheon.
Before that was the younger brother.
Joffrey?
No, the youngest Baratheon.
Renly was first season.
Was he?
Renly was first season.
No, Robert was first season.
And Renly.
Shit, I can't remember.
Yet.
He was a self-proclaimed king.
Okay. Well, I think that he died first season. Second season was Robb Stark. And then...
Hang on, I'm going to Google.
Otherwise, we'll get this off cast, or we'll sit here forever.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up for season 7, episode 5, Spoilercast. Jeff, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at the Jeff Barry. That is TheGeoFFBarry. You can also find me on the Nerdential podcast. And here, hopefully on Thursday, we should have something coming up on the cast
Fantastic.
or on this channel. It's something of our older stuff. It's TLDW. We had it up on our own RSS feed for a while, but we just got rid of that, and we're going to put it up here so you guys can kind of see what me and Paul are going to be bringing to the table.
Fantastic. Where can people find you at, Fouts?
You can find me on Twitter at bfouts82 and editing the crap out of this podcast. We're going to be posting in some of Cajun's comments and stuff. I'm just going to be working on it all night. It's going to be fun. Trying to get, because he was having some video and audio issues on his end, so I'm going to fix it all in post.
Well, you know Cajun has some good takes. You can find me at Two Wolves, TWOWOLVZZ on Twitter. And for Geekologist Radio and Ninja Pancake Family of Podcasts, we are out.
Also, for YouTube, thank you, Marco, for tuning in. We will be live next Monday as well for the episode 6, if you care to join us. About the same time as we started this time.
For sure.
Are we living every Thursday as well?
Maybe. Not sure yet.
Okay.
Haven't gotten that.